Planning is a process of thinking about and organizing activities to achieve a desired goal, right? Goal state achieve कर सके, involving the setting objectives, identifying the task, allocating the resources, and establishing the timelines also. So if we talk about a planning under AI, it is a branch of an artificial intelligence that concerns the realization of the strategies. What strategies need to be followed to get a goal state? Or the what are the action sequences that need to be done for a goal state, to achieve a goal state, typically for the execution by the any intelligent agent or the autonomous robots or the unmanned vehicles. So basically, अगर हम planning की बात करें, or if we talk about any algorithm under the planning, under the AI, if we divide the steps, we are talking about defining the objective. The machine or the agent should know what need to be achieved. The goal state should need to be known. Then identifying the task or the actions so that that goal state can be achieved. If the goal state has been defined, then the agent need to break down that goal or these problem into a sub problems or in a manageable task that need to be completed to achieve a particular goal state. It should be able, or an AI system or the intelligent agent should be able to determine the resources, the resource allocation needed to complete a particular task or action to achieve a goal state. It should also establishing or set our deadlines for each task that need to be completed for achieving a particular goal for, and it should also able to do a monitoring and the evaluation. And if we talk about the planning in a AI, we are basically talking about the strategic planning, which basically focus on the long-term goals which the system should achieve with the overall directions of an organization, or we are seeing there the actions. So what the system, if we are talking about the planning under a AI agent or an intelligent agent or a system, what we are expecting, it should provide a direction towards achieving goal. It should reduces the uncertainty, or it should reason, it should have an ability to plan a particular task, achieve a particular goal under the uncertainty also. It should also facilitate the coordination, right? And it should also improve the decision making, and definitely the performance should be enhanced. We are expecting these 5 features from the planning of an AI agent. What features? Yes, any one of you can repeat this. We are talking about a system should provide a direction towards achieving the goal, the best possible solution, the optimal solution, the action, the sequence of actions, right? It should help to create a clear roadmap. So by following that roadmap, the system should be able to achieve a goal. It should reduces the uncertainty by anticipating the potential problems and developing the contingency plans according to that, so that the plan can reduce the uncertainty. It should facilitate the coordination, right? It should improve the decision. Facilitate the coordination means the AI system should help to ensure that different activities are working together effectively. It should also improve the decision making by understanding if the AI agent will be able to understand the system or a situation very clearly, then the planning can lead to a better decision making also, because the problem has been understood very clearly, and it should also enhance the performance also. With the help of a well-defined actions, or by following the well-defined actions or the steps, the definitely AI agent or a system will be able to plan the activities which will lead to a more successful and better results. Okay, before moving forward, because we are going to discuss an important topic, our goal step planning. Under the planning, any one of you please confirm that my voice is clear to everyone. Yesterday we have discussed about the linear planning and the non-linear planning. Under the linear planning, we are going to discuss about the goal stack planning. So as you can see on a screen, we are going to discuss about the goal stack planning. First, we will just see the introduction of a goal stack planning and the linear and the non-linear planning, and then we will move towards the example of a goal stack planning. So in AI, it is a method, the goal stack planning is a method where the goals are organized in a stack with the most immediate goal at the top, and actions are performed sequentially to address each goal, removing it from the stack upon the completion. Yesterday we have seen the diagram related to that, right? So what we are going to discuss here, the goals are organized in a stack with the most immediate goal at the top, and the actions are performed sequentially to address each goal, removing it from the stack upon completion. So what is the purpose here? We are talking about the goal stack planning is used to manage the multiple goals in the AI system. If the system is having multiple goals, particularly when the goal needs to be achieved in a specific situation or the sequence. So what is the mechanism it follows? It follows the goal stack mechanism. First component or a mechanism it follows, the goals are placed in a stack with the most immediate goal at the top, and the sequential processing after this has been started. The AI system addresses the goal at the top of the stack, performing actions to achieve it. Then the stack management will be done. Once a goal is achieved, it's removed from the stack and the next goal becomes a focus. So one by one, the goals will get achieved. If the particular goal has been achieved, it will be pop up from the stack, and then another goal will be pushed under the stack. So what advantages here we are talking about? Systematic approach, as the GSP or the goal stack planning provides a structured way to tackle the complex tasks by breaking them down into a smaller and manageable steps. Because here we are talking about one by one, each goal stage will be achieved. Then if we are talking about a systematic approach also, so definitely if the one goal will be achieved, after that only the system will go forward to achieve the another goal. So definitely a sequential execution is there. It ensures that the goals are addressed in a correct order. If we are talking about dividing a particular goal or a complex task into a number of subtasks here, so it ensures that the goals are addressed in a correct order, preventing the oversight of the omissions. If we talk about an example here, so example is imagine a robot task with navigating to a specific location. We हमने yesterday भी देखा था example. आप robot की बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर with navigating to a specific location, picking up an object and then returning to its starting point. So using goal step planning, the task could be stepped as navigate to the location first and then pick up the object next and then navigate back to the starting point for the next step, and then ensuring each task is completed in the correct order. So this, with the help of this, with the help of a goal step planning, we can easily achieve these sequential tasks. Then what are the relationship to the other AI techniques, AI planning techniques here? GST is a linear form of a technique, or yesterday we have seen the number of plannings, or we have divided the planning in the number of types, and we have seen the classical planning or the linear planning. In GST is one of the earliest methods in the AI planning, where we are talking about the linear planning, and in the classical planning and the linear planning, we have talked about the forward planning and the backward planning also. So working backward from the goal state to the initial state by fulfilling the precondition. So GSP is the earliest planning. So blocks word problem we have seen yesterday. The classic example of a GSP is the blocks word problem where the goal is to rearrange the blocks to achieve a specific configuration here. So here we are talking about a planning here. So here we have just seen the introduction of a goal stack planning. So what is the planning? Planning is the backbone of a success in both our daily lives in the realm of artificial intelligence. Just as we meticulously strategize for examinations, here simply has given AI system rely on plans to convert objectives into an action to achieve a specific goal. So AI or any AI system basically needs the planning. So what is the planning? Suppose here with a real world example, the planning has been explained. Suppose you want to attempt an examination. So what do? You prepare your plan according to the difficulty of each chapter of a subject, and then resources will be get available according to that. You will be able to search for the resources for the difficult chapter first. You will be able to first go in a library, will search for particular chapter from a different books and understand the difficult chapter first. So according to that, if you first complete your difficult chapters, then it will be get easy to achieve your goal in your examination, or you will be able to attempt the examination very easily. So planning is required in every day, in everywhere, in your day-to-day life. In the moment we use a plan and do an action according to our plans, we definitely get a good results. Definitely in an AI also we are talking about here. So in artificial intelligence too, a plan is essential to convert objectives into an action to achieve a predetermined goal. What we are talking about, सिस्टम को पता है कि उसे क्या अचीव करना है, किस प्रॉब्लम का सॉल्यूशन देना है, लेकिन उसे प्लानिंग करनी है. So planning is essential to convert an objective into an action. How the system will achieve this? Definitely here, so planning is a method of process of computing the steps of problem solving procedure before executing any of them. So first we will decide the algorithm. First we will decide what steps need to be followed to achieve this predetermined goal. So every plan has a domain model also. What domain model here we are talking about? In which we first initially decide what is the initial state. Presently system किस state में है, वो state तक जाने के लिए से बीच में क्या-क्या resources की जरूरत पड़ेगी, क्या-क्या actions perform करने की जरूरत पड़ेगी. So for every plan has a domain model in which we initially have the initial state and then the goal state and the set of operators also used to convert to the goal states. और क्या-क्या operators हैं या क्या-क्या methods available हैं जिन्हें हम use कर सकते हैं goal state achieve करने के लिए. It makes AI system more flexible and increase their decision making capabilities. So as we have discussed yesterday also the different types of planning. According to our syllabus, we are going to discuss first linear and the non-linear planning. And yesterday we have discussed about the classical planning. Classical planning, the forward planning, the backward planning is a kind of a linear planning. A linear and the linear planning is also known as the goal step planning, in which the problem solver use a single step. हम यहाँ पर एक सिंगल स्टेप की बात करें कि एक बार में एक ही काम होगा, एक बार में एक ही goal achieve होगा, containing the operators and the goal state. A plan generated by this method has complete the sequence of operators used for achieving the first goal and then the upcoming goals also. Then here we are talking about now the non-linear planning. अगर हम अभी linear planning हमने just discuss किया goal step planning में, and we will definitely see the example of it also. Then what is the non-linear planning? Our plan generated by this method has a partial sequencing of an operators. Now what is a partial sequencing of an operators? And we are having a partial ordering of the actions in our planning in our syllabus also. and it is not composed of a linear sequence of computer subplans. One by one sequence में एक के बाद एक task complete नहीं हो रहा. Here the problem is divided into sub problems so that these sub problems are dependent on each other. पहले ये काम हो जाए तो उसके बाद ये काम होगा, then ये हो जाए तो ये काम होगा. ये नहीं कि सीक्वेंस में लीनियर हमने यूज कर रहे हैं, दैट इज चैट का जो फीचर हमने कल भी डिस्कस किया था डेटा स्ट्रक्चर में कि न्यू को स्ट्रक्चर हम डिस्कस नहीं कर रहे हैं, दैट लास्ट इन एंड फर्स्ट आउट ही होगा. देन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द हायरार्किकल प्लानिंग which we are talking about a hard problem required to reach towards the goal state from the initial state. So some of the details of a problem should be eliminated until the solution is found. Details are not eliminated from the actual description of the operators, and then the appropriate details can be filled in such as an approach is called a hierarchical planning. So here we are talking about somewhere we are eliminating some things. We are talking here the abstraction also. अब हम डिटेल में डिस्कस करेंगे नॉन लीनियर प्लानिंग. सो व्हाट इज द नॉन लीनियर प्लानिंग? द प्रॉब्लम इज डिवाइडेड इनटू सब प्रॉब्लम्स so that these sub problems are dependent on each other, and it is also a partial orbit planning, that is as the actions are not arranged in a specific order. यहाँ पर हम एक specific order की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. In non-linear planning, we don't commit the actions until and unless necessary. So it is also called the least commitment planning. हमेशा के लिए permanently save नहीं कर रहे हैं जो भी transactions perform हुए हैं. अगर हम transaction के बारे में बात करें, here we are talking about in a non-linear planning, we don't commit the actions until and unless necessary. So commitment is not a compulsory here. Here the operators used to solve one subproblem which can interfere with the solutions of a previous subproblems also. So here we are taking an example. यहाँ पर हम एक example ले रहे हैं. In this example, the initial state is dependent on state 1. ठीक है, state 1 की तरफ arrow जा रहा है, state 2 and the state 3 and the final state. Initial state जो है किस पे dependent है? State 1, state 2, state 3 and the final state. And state 3 is dependent on the state 2 and the state 1 and the final state, and the state 2 is dependent on the final state only. Here all the states are dependent on each other to reach the final state. So this is the most basic example of a non-linear planning. It doesn't mean that first we need to complete a state 1 only, then we will move to a state 2, right, or to move to state 3. Another example we are taking here. Here in this example, the initial state is B, is available on A. This we have seen yesterday also. The initial state is there. The A, B, and the C, D is there. But we need to achieve this goal state, which is the final state. The A, C first, and then B, D first. Simply we are talking about here converting the horizontal to a vertical region. यहाँ पर हम हॉरिजॉन्टल अरेंजमेंट ऑफ ब्लॉक्स को वर्टिकल फॉर्म में अरेंज करना चाहते हैं. So here the initial state is B, is available on A, and B is available on C, and A, C are available on the table, and D, B, D are clear. So the final state we need, D is available on B, and B is available on C, and C is available on A, and A is available on the table, and D is clear. As we can see here, D is available for clear. So according to a concept of a non-linear planning, we need to divide it into different subgroups. Let's talk about the subgroups. To reach to the final state, we have to unstack A first and B, that is putting A on a table. Then we have to unstack C and D and put C on a table, and then put C on A. Then we put B on C, and then at the last we put D on E. So here we are talking about one by one, but not the sequence here. Like first B will be eliminated, then the D will be eliminated, then the A will be eliminated, then the C will be eliminated, not in a linear form. So what are the constraints or the conditions posting in the non-linear planning? Non-linear planning follows a certain type of a constraint posting or the conditions. Here we are talking about Constraint posting build up our plan by considering three important things. It considers the three conditions here, suggesting the operators. That is the list of the operators needed for us to get the goal state. Right? First, it's suggesting the operators. Then it works on once the list of the operators are ready. Next, we need to know the sequence of how we can apply these operators. That is, which operators are to be applied first, which can give us which operators should be applied first, so that the action or the submodel which has been achieved by applying this operator can be used to achieve the another submodel's goal here. Then it will produce the binding here, that is the association between the variables and the operators, which has been applied first and what need to be applied next. So the sequence of operators should be decided in the second step, and then the binding of operators should be decided in the next step. So here, so the constraint posting will perform a plan by suggesting a certain sequence of a operator, by suggesting a certain operators, and then the sequence or the ordering of them, and then at last it would try to identify or describe the specific binding between the variables and the operators. So what are the components of a non-linear planning? What we are talking about here? The non-linear planning in AI consists of the following steps. The set of steps first we are talking about here. The set of steps say S1, S2, and S3 are the actions here. Having an operator of a description, the pre-conditions and the post-conditions which result after applying a particular operator. The first component here we are talking about the set of the steps. Then we are talking about the another component in a non-linear planning is the set of causal links. Set of causal links says S1 and S2 where there is a step S1 and a step S2, and in between them there exists a precondition. This precondition states that if you have to perform the S2, अगर आपको S2 perform करना है, so precondition C is to be achieved by performing the step S1. Or simply we are talking about here what in intermediate state of a system should be there to before performing the step 2 here, right? So here we are talking about after performing the step 1 or what precondition you will get achieved, what step after performing what step. So here simply the set of causal links will be there जिसमें स्टेप 1 और स्टेप 2 के बीच में एक कंडीशन है, अगर वो अचीव हो जाती है तो स्टेप 2 परफॉर्म करना स्टार्ट हो जाएगा. So this precondition states that if you have to perform the step 2, अगर आपका सिस्टम इस स्टेट में है तो आप स्टेप 2 परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं जो कंडीशन स्टेट की सिस्टम की S1 स्टेप परफॉर्म करने के बाद आ गई है. So here the step 1 and step 2 are linked with the preconditions. इस condition के basis पे step 1 और step 2 आपके linked. Then we are talking about a set of ordering constraints also. Now what are the set of ordering constraints? Say we are talking about S1 condition to S2 represent that S1 should be performed before performing the S1. These are the ordering we are talking about. Now, what is the heuristic for the non-linear planning using the constraint posting? Now, heuristic क्या होता है? हमने discuss किया था. What is the heuristic? Something, the approximation we are talking about here, right? What do you understand by the heuristic here? Heuristic will basically guide the search for a solution by providing shortcuts. Heuristic में हमने क्या discuss किया पहले भी heuristic searches में भी discuss किए हैं. We are talking about here the shortcuts. So definitely in a non-linear planning, heuristic basically guide the search or particular searching to reach to a particular goal state, or guide the particular search for the solution by providing the shortcuts and prioritizing the actions that are likely to lead to the goal here. what actions need to be performed first, or what action are compulsory need to be performed. Heuristic of और non-linear planning में हम इसी चीज की बात कर रहे हैं. So लीनियर प्लानिंग में जिसमें हम स्ट्रिक्ट सीक्वेंस फॉलो करते हैं, यहाँ पर नॉन लीनियर प्लानिंग में हम क्या बात कर रहे हैं, स्ट्रिक्ट सीक्वेंस नहीं फॉलो कर रहे हैं. स्ट्रिक्ट सीक्वेंस की बजाय हम प्रायोरिटी डिसाइड कर रहे हैं, कौन शॉर्टकट्स डिसाइड कर रहे हैं. सो ह्यूरिस्टिक फॉर द नॉन लीनियर प्लानिंग यूजिंग द कंस्ट्रेंट पोस्टिंग. And what is the constraint posting? It's an incremental constraint here. What this approach basically defines a plan by incrementally specifying the partial constraint it must fit. So here we are talking about first the heuristic for the non-linear planning using the constraint posting. क्या बात कर रहे हैं इसमें? During the ordering, जब हम ordering कर रहे होते हैं operators की, during the ordering of our operators and getting a complete set of a sequence of our operator list, we first need to use these following steps. First, we need to create a new steps. जब हम ordering of operators और getting a completion of a set के sequence की बात कर रहे हैं, तो first we need to create a new step so that they can help us to resolve the precondition. पहले तो हमें नए steps को decide करना है, create करना है. Then we promote the operators. Next step is to promote the operators. Sometimes we have to plan to put a particular operator in the last position, and this operator must need to be applied in the second step here. In that case, in such case, we promote that operators up in that sequence only. Then comes with the decluttering. What do you mean by this? Suppose you have solved the subproblem S1 and the S3, but to solve S3, S1 is to be solved first, right? हम बात कर रहे हैं अगर हमें so हमें दो सब प्रॉब्लम्स सॉल्व करनी है S1 और S3, बट S3 सॉल्व करने के लिए हमें S1 हेल्प करेगी, तो हमें S1 पहले सॉल्व करनी. so S1 is to be solved first, so we place S2 between these two steps such that S3 can be easily achieved, which was previously prevented by the S1. Simply here we are talking about simple establishment means to assign a value to the variables, and next the separation will be done, that is preventing the assignment of a certain values to a variable. So all these steps are necessary to achieve to each problem statement? No, all these steps are not necessary. It depends on our requirements. That's why here we are talking about the non-linear planning. We will use either all of them or only some of them according to our planning. That is, we are talking about here the heuristic. We are going to talk about here the shortcuts also. So what is the algorithm of a non-linear planning? क्या algorithm है? Suppose we initialize, first step is we initialize a set S to the set of a preconditions in a goal state given to us, right? जो हमें given. First we basically read the problem, offers the problem will be get read it, and what are the preconditions are available and what is the goal state need to be achieved. That is already given to us in a question or the problem will be initialized. Then the preconditions which are yet to be satisfied are removed from the S. जो preconditions अभी तक satisfied नहीं हुई है वो उस set में से remove कर दी जाएंगी क्योंकि हमें satisfy करना है. Then we achieve get the preconditions by using one of the techniques. अब हम वो preconditions को satisfy कराएंगे कोई एक technique use करके, whether the step addition, the promotion, the decluttering, the simple establishment, or the separation, depending upon the requirement. What is the required? Then all the steps here are reviewed, as there can be a cases when new steps are introduced by the step addition, and also to check if any precondition is unachieved. If it is not achieved, we will again use then the unachieved precondition as added to the set which has not been achieved yet. If the S become empty, we complete the plan. अगर S हमारा empty है, we complete the plan by converting the partially orders of the steps into a total orders and initiate variables if required. So if the S becomes empty, we complete the plan by converting the partial orders of the steps into a total orders and then initiate deliverables if required according to that. That means here we are talking about starting of our problem and performing the actions. We go to step 2 until all the preconditions has been satisfied to achieve a particular goal. Stick here. So इतना समझ में आया सबको कि नॉन लीनियर प्लानिंग किससे वर्क करती है. Simply अगर हम यहाँ पे बात करें तो we are talking about here we need to create a new steps every time. We need to decide about the new steps. First, we need to create the steps. First, we need to initialize the step, right? So that we can help. It can help us to resolve the preconditions. Then we need to promote the operators. Then the deep graphing will be done. Then the simple establishment will be done by assigning the values to the variables that has been initialized first. So where we use the non-linear planning to solve, it is an approach which is used to solve the complex situations where the solution is not easily predicted. That's why here we are talking about the heuristic also, because in a heuristic search also we have talked about this. Heuristic का मतलब क्या हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं जहाँ पर प्रॉब्लम हमारी सॉल्व करना डिफिकल्ट हो. सो द कॉम्प्लेक्स सिचुएशंस में हम नॉन लीनियर का यूज करते हैं क्योंकि हम प्रायोरिटी डिसाइड करते हैं. In non-linear planning, we can easily handle the complex problems depending on each other. These are the advantages here we are talking about. As it uses the heuristic approach, it must easier to find the optimal solution. The shortcut we are talking about here with the help of applying the shortcut. And also we are saying that it can generate creative and the novel solutions to the problems. And we are saying that it can handle incomplete or uncertain information and then estimate the possibility of a different outcomes and then make the decisions. How it can handle the incomplete or the uncertain information, because here we are talking about the priority and then estimate the possibility of different outcomes also and then make the decision. So decision making के लिए हम इसे use कर रहे हैं. What is the disadvantages here? The complexity of a non-linear planning increases as it includes dealing with the interdependent subproblems. Somewhere the complexity will get increased as we have seen in the example and in the diagram also. अभी हम यहाँ पर बात करें. Let's move to our example. This graph is more complex if we are saying in terms of a non-linear planning. यहाँ पर non-linear planning है तो ये graph आपका थोड़ा सा complex है because we are talking about all possible outcomes. Initial to state 1, state 2, state 3 and the final state. Right? अगर हम लीनियर प्लानिंग की बात करेंगे तो लीनियर प्लानिंग में क्या होगा, कनेक्शंस हमारे व्हाट वी विल टॉक अबाउट इन द लीनियर प्लानिंग. लीनियर प्लानिंग में it will be easier in these because one by one in the sequence we will talk about the state 1, then state 2, then state 3, then the final state. But here the all possible outcomes have been analyzed. That's why this graph is more complex as compared to the linear planning. Let's move to the disadvantages now. So the complexity of a non-linear planning increases as it includes the dealing with the interdependent subproblems. And the another disadvantage we are talking about here, the search space. The search space of a non-linear planning can become huge. अभी फिर से एग्जाम्पल की बात करें तो सर्च स्पेस आपकी बढ़ जाएगी as the sub problems will get increased here because here we are also talking about all possible outcomes. So what are the questions here? If we differ, how does the non-linear planning in AI differ from the linear planning in AI? Linear planning starts with a goal to be achieved, but the non-linear planning begins with a partial plans, right? Here we are talking about the partial plans, that is expanded and refined here. Okay, so linear planning starts with our goals to be achieved. पहले हम गोल क्या है उसको डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, तो क्या बात कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर आप फॉरवर्ड चेनिंग की बात कर रहे हैं, बट नॉन लीनियर प्लानिंग बिगिन विद अ पार्शियल प्लान, पहले से ही प्लान है जिसको फर्दर हमें रिफाइन करना है, एक्सपेंड करना है. कैन नॉन लीनियर प्लानिंग in AI handle the problems with uncertain or incomplete information? Yes, it can easily incorporate uncertainty and the probabilistic reasoning into the planning process. Then what are the some real world applications where non-linear planning can be beneficial? Some other here we are talking about the applications that are the robotics. Robotics के अंदर it can be used in the various domains like the robotics, the supply chain management, the game design, and etc. Then can the non-linear planning in AI generate the optimal solutions for the complex problem? Yes, the complex problems or the complex search here, such space involved in a non-linear planning make it challenging to always guarantee finding an optimal solutions because of using a heuristic approach. So what are the specific algorithms commonly used in the non-linear planning we are talking about? Here are the hierarchical task networks, the partial order planning, and the constant satisfaction problems are the algorithms that we use in under this. And in detail in our syllabus, we will talk about the partial order planning first. So the non-linear planning in AI offer a valuable approach to the problem solving, enhancing the flexibility and the decision-making capabilities of an AI system. And here we have learned the non-linear planning divides the problem into a subparts. What is the basic of a non-linear planning? That it divides the problems into a subparts, allowing for the partial ordering of an actions. Right? Partial ordering is a complete ordering mean, complete sequence mean, and the least commitment planning approach here. So here we had completed a non-linear planning and we have seen our the goal step planning also.